Brown and I never get the memo.
Yeah, no one told me. Oh well.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brighton Area Schools Board of Education meeting. Ms. Ackermite, will you roll call, please?
Mrs. Urbane.
Present.
Mrs. Tierney.
Here.
Dr. Krebs.
Here.
Mrs. Mark.
Here.
Mr. Myers.
Here. All right, that takes us to the Pledge of Allegiance. Would everyone please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Krebs,
Support.
support by Ms. Marks. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 5-0. That moves us to the superintendent report. Dr. Alwal.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. We have a few things on the agenda here this evening, but before I do that, I want to recognize our members of our Board of Education. Tonight, each one of the schools put together a package of gifts, a gift from each one of the schools for our board members. This is an unpaid voluntary job where they put in countless hours on behalf of the school district, and I just want to say on behalf of the administration and district, thank you so much for your service. We appreciate you all so much. So thank you to the board.
Thank you. So
Tonight, I'm going to begin, we're going to have a school showcase, Brighton High School, and then we're going to have our shining stars for the fall athletes, and then we'll hear from our student representatives from the leadership group. So let's start off with our school showcase. Mr. Evans, are you going to come forward? All right, Principal Evans is going to come get us started.
All right, so I'd like to thank everybody for allowing us to be here tonight. We've got a very, very special group of students that are going to be joining me up here. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with either our TIPS program or our LINK program, these are two fantastic groups that really mean a ton to our school community and everything that we try to instill upon our students. And so they've been doing an excellent job. They've been very hard at work to prepare something special for our school community as an opportunity to give back to families within our local community. And they're excited, maybe a little bit nervous, but I know there was a lot of excitement today to share some information with you about everything that they've been doing in an effort to give back to our Brighton community. So you can welcome them up.
Good evening, everyone. We are here tonight to share something very special happening at BHS for the holiday season. For the second year in a row, our students in the TIPS program host a school-wide garage sale, an event that not only builds real-world skills, but also helps our students make a meaningful impact in our community. The TIPS Garage Sale is a student-run initiative where items donated by staff, family, and community members are collected, organized, and sold in a true garage sale environment. Teachers sign up to bring their classes down to shop for items or enjoy any of the sweet treats that are offered. Think of it as elementary school-style Santa shop meets thrift store. 100% of the proceeds go directly towards purchasing Christmas gifts for local families in need. Last year, we were fortunate enough to purchase gifts for several children who were put on our district ELF program, and we exceeded our fundraising goal and were able to support an additional 3 BHS families.
At the core of this event is a simple and powerful belief. Everyone, no matter their challenges, strengths, or abilities, has something to give. Our students prove this every day through their effort, teamwork, and dedication to serving others.
The Skill Building Through Service initiative is meaning that this project gives students the opportunity to practice a wide range of real-world skills, including collecting donations by visiting classrooms, communicating with staff, and receiving items with responsibility and professionalism, sorting and organizing by categorizing items, preparing displays, and making decisions about pricing and quality, and advertising the sale by creating posters, writing announcements, and promoting the events to students and staff.
Student job applications. These students are given the opportunity to select any jobs that they may feel fit to fulfill. These positions include sales associates, inventory helper, customer service, greeter, and cashiers, and much more. This gives the students an opportunity to practice interview skills, fill out real-world applications, and work in positions aligned with their strengths and goals.
Real-world experience. Throughout the week of the sale, students put these skills into action by greeting customers and answering their questions, handling money and making change, stocking shelves and organizing the tables, managing crowds and maintaining safety, and lastly, preparing snacks and assisting food in the food area.
The most meaningful part of our project comes after the sale. With the money earned, students review gift wish lists for local families, create shopping budgets, compare prices, and make purchasing decisions, wrap and deliver gifts. Our students get to see firsthand how their hard work brings joy to others during the holiday season.
This project would not be possible without generous staff, family donations, community support, students who work tirelessly, mentors, teachers, professionals guiding them along the way. Together, we create an experience that benefits both our students and our community.
This event teaches our students and all of us that giving isn't about ability. It's about heart. It's about showing up, helping others, and using your unique strengths to make the world a little brighter. And this year, our students truly shined. Now I'm going to introduce my friend Emma Warren to give us the last words of the night.
Okay. We can't forget to thank our administrators and staff at BHS for supporting our students and believing in their ability to learn, grow, and give back. Your encouragement and donations make a difference not only in the lives of our students, but in the lives of families across our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that amazing presentation. We're very proud of all of you, your service-oriented work, and all of the support from everyone that made that program so remarkable. And thank you for being here tonight to present to us and inform us about what wonderful things you're doing in the school. Thank you again for being here. We very much appreciate it.
All right. Next up, I'm going to bring forward Mr. Thompson, who is going to do our shining stars for our fall athletes.
Thank you, Dr. Outlaw. Obviously, we have, without a doubt, turned the page from fall to winter. I think that's pretty evident outside, but some good things to talk about from this past fall as well. So we've got several programs that are going to come up and kind of give you a quick snapshot of their seasons. We're going to start with our girls swim and dive program first. So they are coached by Miss Danielle Gray. So.
Hi there. Excited to be able to talk about these girls again. Our season was phenomenal this year. We finished really well. We can sum it up by saying, well, that was close. So KLAAs, we took second place. It was a really tight fight between us and Novi for second and third by 3.5 points, and it came down to the last relay. So the pressure was on, and these girls handled it beautifully. And then that went into state meet. About halfway through, we were all tied, us and two other teams at 60 points, about the halfway marker. So you can tell some kids this, and it wouldn't be a good thing, but these girls, you gotta tell them, because it just fires them up and gets them ready and gets them going. We ended up finishing 6th in the state this year by 1 point. So that was pretty cool, yep. And it came down to last relay. So my girls here, I'm gonna start with Maggie Birchfield, she's a senior. Maggie finished 8th in the 200 free and 10th in the 100 free at KLAAs. She was also on the All-State 400 freestyle relay, so that's a top 8 relay. I've got sophomore Katie Gray here. She finished 2nd in the 50 free and 2nd in the 100 free at KLAAs. She competed in the 50 free at state meet and was on the 200 medley, 200 freestyle, and 400 freestyle all-state relays, all top 8. Josie Libler's not here, but she was also on all 3 all-state relays. Natalie Mazer, she's not here. She is sophomore. She was on all 3 all-state relays. Maisie Potts Jr. right over here. She finished 3rd in the 200 free and 6th in the 500 at KLAAs. Competed in the 200 and 500 at state meet. Lily Story was on our state medley relay, but in her classy fashion, she gave up that spot to somebody who might be able to swim her spot faster. So she continued training for 2 weeks as an alternate with us. So that's pretty darn amazing. Ava Sventicus, senior, right over here. She was 9th in the 200 IM this year, 7th in the 100 free at KLAA. She competed in the 100 free at state and was on all 3 all-state relays. Now, the fact that we had so many all-state relays is amazing. Only 5 teams in the state had 3 relays top 8. So they fought hard, did a great job, took some gambles and a lot of self-sacrifice, and had a great season.
And just a quick reminder to our girls swim team, stick around to the end. We're going to have a group picture with all of our fall student shining stars. So we're going to switch from the pool to the cross-country course. I'm going to bring up Coach Mazewski, talk about our girls cross-country season.
When I say your name, step forward. Pass it on. You can move up this way so you're all going to be seen. Single file. There we go. All right. All right, thank you so much for having us. Really an honor to be here yet again. So we really had a special group, special year this year. Our season begins really in June, where all the dedication starts to take place, and our results are really successful because of that dedication. But really, it's mostly important to create the culture that we have by getting together and the strong bonds that these girls create throughout the summer and fall. Half of these 13 girls are seniors, or more than half, 7. Guess you can't do half. Anyway, and their legacy, I think they really are the best class I've ever coached, and I've coached for 21 years. Every year, their team has won conference and regionals and been in the top 5 in state. So it's pretty remarkable. This year, we were conference champs the 4th consecutive year in a row, 5th consecutive year as regional champions, and we were 3rd in state. We also earned all-state, academic all-state honors as a team, and all of these athletes are scholar athletes. Individually, Lydia Lamara, she was a 3-time all-stater, all-conference, all-region, and academic all-state individual. Next, Juliette Lewis. She's also a senior. She was all-conference. Oh, there you are. All-conference, all-region, and individual academic all-state. Next is senior Courtney Lentz. I don't know where you guys are. There you are. She was all-conference, all-region, and, oh, I forgot, and finished 64th in the state. Juliette finished 34th in the state. Lydia finished 18th in the state. Sorry about that. Next, Selena White. She is a senior. She finished 66th in the state. She was all-conference and all-region this year. Next is senior Annie Hamilton. She was 124th in the state. She was all-conference and individual academic all-state. Next is Ella Lorenz. She was all-conference and all-region. Next is Ashley Libowecki. She finished 179th in the state. And the rest of these girls were on our state team. Senior Maisie Kavanaugh, senior Kayla, I don't know where you are, senior Kayla Marsvin, sophomore Ella Tillman, freshman Reese, oh, I never know how to say your last name, Conoyer. I'll get it, you're a freshman, right? I got 3 more years. Conoyer. Sophomore Jenna Berkemer, and lastly, Hannah Outlaw, sophomore Hannah Outlaw. Oh, you guys didn't step forward. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for this honor, and congratulations.
Just a quick snapshot of some of our other fall programs that aren't with us this evening. Our equestrian team, they've been building over the last couple of years, and they have kind of made it back to the top of the mountain in their division, finishing first. Field hockey, which is a program that we just brought into the Brighton Athletics Department this past fall. Kind of a slow start, but they certainly picked things up as they got along and continue to grow as well. Football advanced to the district final again this year, and finished the season 7-4. Boys soccer was about 500 this year, and with a real young group, so some good things hopefully we look forward to on the soccer pitch. Boys tennis continues to evolve for us, another winning campaign from them. And our girls volleyball program, district champs and an overall record of 32-8-2. So a lot of good stuff going out there this fall. We've got a couple other programs we're going to highlight here in a minute. Probably the last thing that I would share with the group, aside from all the hard work and the results that are happening out there on the different fields of play, our student athletes are just that, student athletes. They are getting the job done in the classroom. Coming off the first marking period, we had a 74.7 of our 648 fall student athletes had a 3.0 or better. So that's pretty remarkable. And I can tell you, I kid about this with our student athletes all the time, but you know, high school's a lot harder in my opinion today than it was maybe back in the day when I was going through it. So to see them excel both on and off the fields of play, I take a lot of pride in and certainly give them a lot of respect for everything that they accomplish. We're going to stick in the sport of boys, or we're going to stick with the sport of cross country and bring up our boys cross country program that's coached by Mr. Chris Elsey.
First, I'd like to start by a couple of thank yous. Thank you to the board for recognizing the hard work of these great student athletes. Mr. Thompson, the athletic department, are always supporting us, giving us what we need to be successful, and Coach Christie for running one hell of a program that we work together and we build each other up, and it's wonderful working with you. This year, our boys, we had a fantastic season. We came in. I tell this story every time I talk about the team, but we lost a bunch of seniors in our top 7, so top 7 compete in the varsity races, championship races. Lost 4 of our 7, so I was expecting us to be competitive. I wasn't really sure how competitive, but they did a tremendous job of stepping up. And we finished 2nd in the division, 2nd in our conference. Regional champs this year. There's a seven-time regional champs of the past 8 years. And in the state, we finished 4th in Division I, and 6 of the last 7 years, we finished in the top 4 at the state. We had, at our conference meet, we had 6 all-conference athletes. At our regional meet, we had 4 all-regional runners. At the state meet, our alternates, Ryan Fick, Mitchell Corey, Shane Corey, Hunter Music, Nick Lewis, Ronan MacArthur. They did a great, they support us, and they're part of that state team experience. In our top 7, we had 2 freshmen run, Grant Kleza and Josh Keeler-Beal. They finished 143rd, 158th respectively, out of 250-plus runners. There was 26 freshmen that competed in the race, and they were finished 7th and 9th of those freshmen. Brendan Williams is a sophomore, finished 101st. Evan Cummings, senior, finished 82nd, was individual academic all-state. Blake Kaliza, excuse me, Roar MacArthur was 53rd, broke 16 minutes. Blake Kaliza was 48th, broke 16 minutes as well. He was individual academic all-state. And Zach Werdurko finished 18th overall. Finished all-state, top 30 is all-state. And he was individual academic all-state as well. But, you know, like Coach Christie talked about it, our season starts we start training in June for cross-country, but these athletes, you know, it's a months and years of work to get to this level at a program like Brighton. We have 51 athletes, only 7 get to race at the state meet. So I'm tremendously proud of everything that these guys have accomplished, everything that this state team has accomplished. And they just did a tremendous job. So thank you guys.
And I would tell you before we bring up our last program or recognize, I would echo Coach Elsie's gratitude. Certainly very appreciative and thankful for the board's support, but our faculty and staff, everybody from our classroom teachers to our custodians and outside grounds people. Brighton Athletics encompasses a lot of folks, and we're just very blessed to have a great community where people, support our programs and support our student athletes. And I can tell you that we're better for that support. We do the things that we do because it's, everybody all in for the same thing. And, it starts at the top, but it takes everybody. So know that on behalf of our student athletes and coaches, we say thank you to all concerned. To round out our fall shining athletes, girls golf, Coach Aaron Larson, if you could come up, talk a little bit about our girls golf season.
Good evening. As Mr. Thompson said, my name is Erin Larson, and I'm a newer face to this community. This is only my 2nd year in the girls golf program, but I feel very honored to be a part of it and to be able to coach these girls. As you can see, we're one of the smaller teams that's out there. We can only take 5 girls to our state finals, and our 2 seniors and our 2 captains were unable to be here tonight. They had prior commitments. So we have our 3 juniors here that were at states. Overall, our season real quick, we won first place in 3 of the tournaments that we played in. We were top 4 in all of our tournaments overall. At regionals, we finished 2nd to Northville, who Northville went on to win the state championship this year. So that tells you how strong our conference and our division is. And then at state finals, we finished 10th overall. We had the most adversity when it came to weather at the most important time of the year, unfortunately. We had beautiful weather all season long, and then our regionals literally rained all day long. And 5-6 hours with our equipment in the rain certainly is a lot to overcome and achieve. And so for us to finish second at regionals was a huge accomplishment for our girls. State finals were also very similar. I think it was a high of 60, rain both days. Second day, we actually had a rain delay. So another kind of tough start to the day. And as well as the fact as our state finals were the same weekend as homecoming. So obviously that was another sacrifice that our girls had to make, but they battled and they finished strong, middle of the pack. It's always an honor to be at states, and I'm really proud of how they finished this year. Kayla this year finished all state, honorable mention, all conference, had some of her best rounds of the year. And then Kinley, I'm sorry, I forgot to name the girls. We have Kinley Kirk, Avery Mitchell, and Kayla Oprish. Kinley and Avery, this was their first year on varsity and the first year making it to state finals. Avery probably played more rounds than any of our team this year, so I feel blessed to have them coming back, and the sky's the limit for these girls, so thank you.
And if we could have our girls golfers stay up and then the rest of our fall student athlete shining stars come up for a quick group pic, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. On behalf of the board, I just want to say congratulations to all of you for outstanding seasons. We wish you all the best for the rest of the year, and thank you for being here this evening. And you don't have to stay for the rest of our board meeting. Yeah, we're out of here.
All the juniors and seniors were like, yeah, we know.
Well, let's think about a blow. I gotta get a new one. I need a new one of these, and I need a new phone.
When did you get this one?
Years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
You really? Okay, I think you should put phone on the priority list.
I told my mom today.
What'd
And
she
I was
say?
like, yeah, I hate if Santa brought this under a tree. You know, I just drove you all the way to Lansing, so I feel like Santa.
Can't you trade it in?
I don't know. I don't really know how.
You definitely can, and then you can either get a free one or get like, as only, like what we do is we trade ours in, and then it's only like $200 for a new one. You know what I'm saying? You only have to pay a little bit.
For sure.
But it depends, obviously, like what state it's in.
This is like the perfect seat for you. And it's like not for me. I'm like in between pockets and pants. Alrighty, good evening, everybody. Well, it was great to see all the athletics. We're going to give you a little showcase of what's been going on inside the classrooms and outside of the classrooms here at BHS. So to start, we have our NHS report. So NHS has been doing a lot in this past month. To start, the food drive just raised $36,370, which I believe is more than average, and we were super happy to see so much like community involvement and so much money raised. I know Gleaners and different food drives that we were involved with were very grateful and glad that we were able to put so much work in with that. The Community Outreach Committee is currently running a coat and gloves drive, which ends this Thursday, and any donations can be dropped off in Mr. Carney's room. If you guys know anybody, there is still time, and I know they would be super happy to have any more involvement with that. I believe the donations go to the ELF program as well. Next, we have received 11 senior survivor charity applications, and NHS will be reviewing and watching all of these videos to decide on 3 winners that will be receiving all the funds that are raised during this year's Senior Survivor Week. And we're super excited to see what charities they pick and excited to give back to our community and help out those foundations. And also, we are always looking forward to more opportunities for volunteering in our community. So if you guys have any opportunities, NHS students are always willing and happy to volunteer. So if you have any opportunities that you would want us to know about, please email nhs@brightonk12.com with any inquiries.
So a fun event that the juniors hosted in the past month is the talent show. That's something that our class started last year to raise money for prom. And they decided to carry on the legacy, and they hosted it again this year, which was really fun. Basically, anybody can showcase a talent at the talent show. You have to go through an audition process, but it's not very selective. We like to encourage anybody to try out and showcase their talents. And also, all of the different councils have to perform an act as well. And that's kind of like a separate competition. So all the councils do either a skit, a dance, something like that, and then they all compete. And then all of that actual talents also compete for a prize. And this year they raised $1,500, which is really exciting. And like I said, all money goes to prom, so it's a great cause.
Next up, the student council groups all worked together this past week to do some window painting at BHS. This is a fun tradition we like to do. I mean, we want to keep it fun and energetic in the weeks before Christmas break where everybody's getting ready to go home. We want to make sure it's fun and keeps a good energy going at school. On top of this, some of the student councils are doing some different work outside of the classroom during this winter season. For example, our exec board team, we just went out to Toys for Tots and helped them set up a ton of gifts that are going out to the community to offer people an opportunity at Christmas that might not have that opportunity otherwise. I know that junior council is going bringing at Kroger, and so will exec board, and I'm sure the other councils will be doing something to give back during this holiday season as well.
Next up is Operation Christmas Wishes, which is obviously a pretty big fundraiser that the leadership class hosts. It was very successful. We actually had our delivery day on Friday, which Reese will talk more about in the next slide, but this is just some prep that goes into it. Our committees we had this year and our events that we hosted are the euchre tournament. We usually do that every year, which is really fun. We also had pics with Santa. Someone dresses up as Santa, and you can take pictures next to him. And then also we did caroling, which was super fun, especially this year. We were, I think, $1,500 short of our goal of $20,000, and we went out caroling for an hour, and we raised $1,111 just caroling for an hour, which is so fun. It was during ladies' night, so everyone was pretty easy to donate money. So that was really fun. It was also just a good bonding experience for us as well, just to sing together. So that was fun. And then I also included pictures of in-person shopping, which is also fun to just go out and start getting a head start on shopping for the presents for the kids. We also had Candygrams, the holiday bake sale, and we also did a new committee this year, DIY trail mix, where kids could just pay money and make their own trail mix bag. So that was fun and raised a lot of money as well.
So next, this is where all the hard work came to fruition. Our total money raised this year was $20,211, just $211 over our $20,000 goal. We are in partnership with the Yoga Strong Foundation. Ashley Watterson and her team helped to set this up for us and helped to get us connected with these schools and offer us this amazing opportunity to really bring a great Christmas to these kids. I mean, seeing their faces light up when they receive these presents and getting to interact with them is something so special, and I'm so glad that the leadership class decides to do it, and I hope they continue this tradition for years to come. This year, something notable, last year we only worked with the Perry ELC school, and this year we added another school called Puentes, which is their Hispanic Learning Center, that added about 7 to 8 more schools, and we sent about a third of our class over to their school to work with those students, offer them Christmas presents this year, letting them meet Santa, get a coloring book and crayons from him, along with giving those students in Perry the opportunity. So this year we were able to touch the hearts of about 500 children and offer them Christmas gifts and get to spend some time with them this year.
That's pretty much all we have. This is also something I wanted to include in here. If you're not already following our leadership Instagram, I try to stay pretty active, posting a lot about what's going on at the school and what leadership is hosting. So if you're more curious about what goes into Operation Christmas Wishes or any other event that we're hosting, there's a lot of videos about us shopping, us wrapping. We're going to work on editing and releasing the actual delivery day video soon. So it's really good to stay updated through the Instagram. So follow it if you're not already. That's all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for being here this evening. We very much appreciate all of the information that you present. It's always very impressive, your presentations and the information that's contained in them. And kudos and a big congratulations to all of the leadership groups for all of their very generous, service-oriented, extensive time commitments that they devote. It really speaks volumes to the leadership that you all are exhibiting as young adults. And we're very proud of all you do and that all you do for the community. So thanks again, and we really appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Bain.
I just wanted to say I was super impressed, and I have zero talent, but I would like to challenge the board that next year's talent show, we should put a skit together.
I love it. This is a great idea.
I think yes.
Oh, we'll have to have a couple of additional members to sign up for that. So.
I think they should lead it.
Yeah, right, yeah, something like that. Yeah. Okay, all right, that closes the superintendent report. Moves us to the call to the public. If there's anyone here this evening that would like to address the board, this is your opportunity to do so. You have 3 minutes to address the board. It's not a question and answer session. It's just your opportunity to address the board regarding any topic. Our protocol is to fill out a card at the rear of the room, place it in the box to the left of Mr. Jones. Dr. Krebs will be keeping track of the time. When there is 30 seconds left in your allotted time, she will give you a yellow card, and when the time is up, she will display the red card. So, the first card I have is Nate Nicholson.
Good evening, thank you. I'm here tonight to just make a very brief comment regarding the decision or potential decision to allow for a third-party, non-Brighton area school-sponsored activity to be involved in the process of issuing credit for physical education at the high school. I have to be careful because in my role as BEA president, it's really inappropriate for me to advocate for one core or elective course or subject over another because I represent everyone equally. So instead, I'm just here tonight to advocate for the high-quality education that our community has come to expect from us. Some of the language in the proposal I feel is a potential slippery slope. I'm concerned that as a consequence of the decision, it may lead to future lowering of the high bar of expectation for our Brighton students, and that's certainly not the intended goal of it as it is written. I'm in full support of offering students multiple pathways to success. As a parent in the community, I believe in that, especially as those courses relate to graduation requirements. I support the vast majority of the language for the PE proposal on page 40. I think it's good. The exception being the non-school sponsored activity. I'm concerned about that. Any and all alternate pathways should be carefully curated by appropriate state-certified teachers and administrators working together, employed by Brighton area schools, just to ensure the appropriate safeguards for our students. Specifically maintaining high academic standards, but really and critically is ensuring that it's a safe physical and social emotional learning environment, even if it's not within our school walls. That's all I really have to say about it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Chris Helsey.
Hello again. I'm a parent and teacher. I got a boy at Maltby and then 2 boys and a girl at Spencer. And I teach PE at Brighton High School as well as coach cross country and track. Now, granted, I'm biased. I'm a Brighton grad. When I was in high school, there was 5 PE teachers, and PE was a year-long requirement. I took PE every single semester in high school. I went into PE as a career. And there's 2 subjects that I feel apply to your day-to-day life more than anything else, and it's PE and health. But in terms of this PE credit and another way to work around it, we already have a process for those students that don't feel that PE fits into their schedule for whatever reason. There's a test-out process. And to piggyback on what Nate had said about an outside organization, is there going to be an outside art club that says you no longer need a art requirement because you're in this club? Is there going to be Science Olympiad? You can waive 1 year of your science credit because you did 2 years of Science Olympiad. The same thing with Model UN and Social Studies credit. Someone else brought this to my attention, but what about those kids that they're not in marching band, they're not in a high school sport, but they can't afford a club sport. So it's just the kids that can afford to go to those club activities, that they get that opportunity. And then I know it in the language, I could be wrong on this, but what stood out to me is the equivalent physical activity. And to me, I can only speak for my class, I can only speak for my connection to my students, but I'd say PE is more than just the physical activity. I'm just a PE teacher, and I don't know what else to say other than it makes me feel like here's our core academics, here's our academic piece, and here's PE. So I don't know how else to say it, but thank you for your time, and I appreciate you giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Sid Atkin.
Hello, my name is Sid Atkin, choir booster president and longtime Brighton parent resident. Before I begin, I want to thank you. Many of you spent time with our music teachers to hear the perspective on the auxiliary rehearsal and performance space, the condition of music classrooms, and the broader bond initiative. That meeting meant a great deal to our teachers and to all of us supporting the performing arts. I'm grateful that the auxiliary rehearsal performance space, that's what we're trying to work on for the black box, continues to be part of the district's bond conversations. But tonight, I'd like to focus on a different topic, and one that impacts its students right now. I'm here to ask the district to expand the high school physical education exemption to include the onstage musical theater cast. As you know, students who compete in 2 years of varsity athletics or marching band can earn a PE exception. But our music theater students whose physical workload is truly comparable are not included. The average Brighton High School musical cast member completes over 100 hours of dance and movement rehearsal over 4 months. That includes intense choreography, endurance training, repeated cardio-heavy routines, and physically demanding blocking and stage work, all well after the normal school hours. This is absolutely on par with a sport in terms of exertion, discipline, and time commitment. They truly do give their blood, sweat, and tears during this process. Yet many of these students still feel pressure to take gym in 9th grade, which limits their ability to take electives that define their pathway, specifically choir, orchestra, band, and theater, but we know that there's also other options beyond that that are limiting. We already recognize that marching band provides physical conditioning equivalent to athletics. It's time to provide that same recognition to our musical theater performers, because physical training is no less rigorous. This isn't about lowering standards. It's about properly acknowledging and crediting the work done, as well as supporting all students, whether their passion is on the field or on the stage, with the same level of respect and opportunity. I respectfully ask the board and administration to review the PE exemption policy and consider including on-stage musical as a qualifying activity. Thank you for your time and your continued support of Brighton students and programs.
Thank you. Todd Day.
Hello, I'm Todd Day, a teacher at Brighton High School. I live in Okemos, and that will be important in a second. All right, so wanted to say thank you to Dr. Outlaw. We just recently passed the contract for, and thank the board as well for passing the contract for the union. It was a long process, I know, and Dr. Outlaw coming to the table was super helpful in that process, and so wanted to give props to him, so thank you. I brought the Odyssey. It's a classic, and if you know the Odyssey, I want to talk about the Lotus Eaters. The Lotus Eaters is an island where Odysseus goes and stops, and the people on his crew go and eat the lotus and become addicted and become apathetic and don't want to go on their journey and just forget life. And that's what our students are with cell phones. We have to be Odysseus and guide them back to the ship and focus them way better than our current cell phone policy is at the high school and Brighton area schools, I think, in general. My son does go to Okemos High School. They're starting next semester to have a no cell phone policy. It's kind of snowballing in the area, Lansing schools in Williamston and I think Weberville. As a teacher, I can tell you that part of my beginning of the hour is begging kids to get their phone in the pouch. But as a general human being and a parent, to see children nowadays like this through the hall is what you see. This is their life. We can do better. We are educators. We can lead. We don't have to wait for the state to say, hey, kids shouldn't have cell phones available to them. It's an addiction. It's right there. They want it. I know some of the argument is phone contact with parents. I got a phone in my room. They have Chromebooks in my room. They can email. They can access the internet that way in a more healthy way. Because whenever given the opportunity, 9 out of 10 times, kids jump to TikTok, to face pictures, Snapchat, whatever it is. It's literally not educational, I promise you. So a phone needs to be in the locker. We're creating thinkers, but we're not doing that when we have this monkey on their backs. As a parent, what do you see in your own home? When you go home and you see your kids and you tell them, you can't have your cell phone. I deal with it in my own home. And I'm excited for Okemos to be able to give my kid the opportunity to not have this, right, this thing that's within reach. There are exceptions. Of course, blood sugar monitoring with the phone is important. When people are in a hospital, of course, we give exceptions. So there will be exceptions for that. But I'm asking the school board to review our district's phone policy. And please come into our schools to witness what you see really goes on with cell phones. As MLK said, the time is always right to do what is right. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes the call to the public portion of our agenda and moves us to the for action portion. Item A, regular meeting minutes of November 10, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Moved by Dr. Krebs, support by Ms. Tierney. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 5-0. Moves us to the special meeting minutes of November 19, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes as presented? Moved by Ms. Marks, support by Ms. Urbane, or Dr. Krebs. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 5-0. Item C, special meeting minutes of December 3, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes as presented? Moved by Dr. Krebs, support by Ms. Urbane. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 5-0. That moves us to item D, the Miller renovation. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
So last month, the district issued an RFP for general contractor services to build out the location at the Miller Early Childhood Center where the seniors center had moved out, moving over here to the Beck Building. So on December the 2nd, we had a bid opening. We received 7 bids. The bid of Corrigan Construction was the lowest bid. And so we are asking that the board approve, and there is a typo in the resolution. It's the amount not to exceed is actually $200,442.26. Sorry, that's a typo. It's not 220, it is 200,442.26, not to exceed. We've worked with Corrigan before. We know the quality of their work. We interviewed them after all the bids were opened, and obviously it was satisfactory. So we're asking the board to approve that we enter an agreement with Corrigan to do the work.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the entering of a contract not to exceed $200,442.26 as recommended by administration?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Krebs,
Support.
support by Ms. Marks. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 5-0. That moves us to item E, the middle school honors English. Dr. Outlaw.
Okay, we discussed this last month for future action. This is extending our honors program. We currently have 9th grade and 10th grade honors English. This would add 7th and 8th grade honors English. I want to thank Mr. Rudolph and Mr. Renner for their assistance with this, and the teachers that will be part of the work on this. And does the board have any questions at all?
I just want to say how excited I am, so thank you for continuing to push this forward. I think it's going to be great for the district, and it's fantastic for our students. So I appreciate the hard work that went into it.
Thank you. Absolutely. All right, do we have a motion to approve the middle school honors English program as presented? Moved by Ms. Tierney, supported by Ms. Urbane. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 5-0. That moves us to item F, the PE credit proposal. Ms. Urbane?
Yes. First, I would like to make a motion that we approve the PE credit with adding in that it will be approved for the beginning of the 26-27 school year.
All right, so we have a motion by Ms. Urbane to approve the proposal commencing 2026-2027 school year. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Support by Ms. Marks. Any discussion?
Go ahead.
So as we've been talking about this several times for a couple months, I've kept bringing up the issue of shifting our course, our BHS credit to somebody who's not a classroom teacher, who's not an employee of the district. And I have concerns with that, as was mentioned earlier. A couple of my concerns are related to safety, who the people are that we're going to be asking for students to have these credit from. The other issue has to do with, as was mentioned earlier, is the equity issue. So now students are going to be able to pay for credit that they can get by joining a travel team. So I just have my reservations with that. So I appreciate that students should be able to use their athletics, not just varsity. So if it was looking at other activities in the district, I would support that. However, I cannot support options that are not within the district.
I just want to address a couple of the things that were out there. One, we have been awarding credit for athletics for a number of years since the state allowed us to without any policy. That is negligent in my book. We have to have a actual school policy. When I started asking where it came from, what was the background, there just wasn't one. It was what somebody once said. There was no one could provide me with any written policy. Having said that, the state law is very clear that it allows a limited flexibility on the PE credit. So there's no slippery slope to the other academics. It is very limited to PE. And at least for me, there are other schools for sure that are allowing it for outside activities. The state law is very clear that it allows it for outside activities. These outside activities are stuff that students are already participating in. So in terms of the safety things, these are the judgments that parents are making, and they are allowed to, it's not guaranteed, they are allowed to apply to the district to have it. Think of a student taking year-round ballet or playing, Olympic development soccer that they're not playing at the school level. It is unfair to punish those kids for that activity because we don't offer, at least with ballet, we don't offer it here. Again, these outside activities aren't guaranteed. I also, with a comment of classroom teachers, almost none of our athletics are actually done by classroom teachers. And they actually aren't BHS staff, they're contracted. So, and again, this is an application, it's not an automatic approval, and we are not saying that one level of outside activity is better than the other. And then when it comes to the musical, I believe that those students can absolutely apply under the process that we are granting. We are saying athletics, band was already included previously, and then they can apply depending on the level of physical activity that's shown. So I just think it is really important that we give our kids options. At Maltby, when my older kids were at Maltby, the only option was choir or band. And we added PE to that to give kids options because that's what's good for kids is to give them options. Some of the music program actually came recently and said, you know what, music is suffering, we should limit that. I'm not in favor of limiting any options for kids, whether it's at the high school or at Maltby. Parents decide what's best for kids, and we shouldn't decide whether music or PE is what's best for an individual kid. We should allow options for everybody. So in that case, I urge everybody to support this. I think it's really important, and we try it, and if there's some problems, we'll address them. But right now, there are other schools that are giving kids options, and we have kids that aren't able to take classes that they want to take because they're being told they need to take this. And the alternative path that's out there, I can tell you, I sat in the guidance office with my own child, and I said, hey, we're going to go the route of a personal curriculum. And she said, you know what? Colleges are going to look at that different. At least your highly selective colleges are going to look at that different. I encourage you not to do that. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm telling you that what was said to me. And so relying on just the personal curriculum when we as the board can get rid of the red tape. We don't need the test out option. We don't need an administrator grading them. We don't need an administrator timing them on the mile. We can get rid of all of that red tape and just allow the kids to do this flexibility.
Any other discussion? So, oh, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say I appreciate the public comment tonight, and I personally don't believe that this is diminishing the value of PE. I think there are a number of students that will still take PE for lots of different reasons. I think it has value, but I agree with Ms. Urbain's comments that I would like to open up the opportunity for students in a very tight schedule to take other classes if that is their pathway. And because of what's been handed down academically from the state, and especially at our high school, they're so limited in what their opportunities are, and we keep trying to give them more opportunity to take engineering or art classes or other things that they may be interested in pursuing, and they are really limited in the 6-hour day and what they can pursue. I am in support of this, given the guardrails. I trust that our administrators at the high school level will be able to sift through what is applicable and what is not. I also do think that at Brighton High School, we have very competitive sport programs, which is great, but students are cut from those programs. And so they may try out for a team and not make it, and then they play a club sport. And I don't think that they should be punished in that respect from not having that count toward their PE versus if they had made the varsity team and were able to play on that squad. So I'm planning to vote yes.
So First of all, I do think it's a good idea for us to have a policy, whatever that policy is, so that it provides, obviously, the guidance to address, these situations as opposed to it being done kind of willy-nilly without some sort of policy. And I also agree that it's a good policy to provide the opportunities to expand options for students to do things by giving them the ability to take advantage of, the exemption with regard to the PE credit. I do have a couple of concerns with respect to this particular policy as drafted. And, a couple of comments were brought up this evening during the call to the public, and they were things that had crossed my mind in advance of the meeting tonight. The way it's drafted in terms of the what constitutes the activity that would be deemed sufficient for the applicability of the exemption. Obviously, you've got very defined high school sport, marching band, equivalent physical school-sponsored. Where the trouble I have, and this was raised this evening as well, is the approved non-school sponsored activity as determined by the high school lead principal. And my concern is that that's very ambiguous, and ultimately, Mr. Evans or some future lead principal is going to be tasked with the requirement of looking at an application and making a determination of whether that constitutes a approved non-school sponsored activity that's substantially or equivalent physical activity. And the concern is that, for me, is that, okay, what is the criteria that decision is being reviewed against? Because when someone's asked to make a decision, whatever the decision maker is, these are the parameters that we are to be looking at and determining whether this qualifies. When you have no parameters, and it's just up to the unilateral discretion of one person, whoever that person may be, the concern that I have is that it can be subject to, even if, that person making that decision has, truly believes that this does or does not qualify. I mean, a lot of these type of unilateral decisions are in the eyes of the beholder, of what somebody might believe constitutes a sufficient activity and someone that doesn't. And my concern is that it then becomes susceptible to being challenged as discriminatory or arbitrary, or because there's no defined criteria as to what is it that this school activity, whether that is sufficient to qualify. That's really the concern that I have, because I think it just leaves it open to interpretation without any guardrails of what fits within this box of what would be appropriate. And we could come up with a million different, theoretically a lot of different ones. I thought it was a great point by Mr. Adkin about all the time that the performers put in. I mean, I think that I completely agree. I mean, if we're going to have an exemption for some of these activities that have been identified, and you've got performers that are putting in hundreds of hours of time, I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer, right? To me, anyway. I mean, others may disagree, and I realize that's not a non-school sponsored. That's, I'm kind of mixing, the apples and oranges in terms of defining an activity. But, I mean, there's just a lot. I'm concerned about the way this particular policy is drafted without some sort of further delineation of what non-school sponsored activity is, that would then be the criteria for which, or under which, the high school lead principal could then make that evaluation. And then people could, when they're making that application and making that pitch, they can then say, here's the criteria, here's what we do, and here's why it meets that criteria. Rather than, we have no criteria, this is what we think. A lead principal might decide yes or no on one activity, and yes or no on a different activity, different decisions, without any criteria to then decide whether that was appropriate or not. I would like to see this policy before it gets adopted. I'd like to see it tightened up a bit, and And frankly, I think it would be good to maybe even include and take a look at other specific activities that could be identified with specificity that would qualify, like a performer in the, musical theater or, other activities that there's no, that definitely qualifies, and we've identified that with specificity. So with that said, I have two questions. One, since this is going to be taking effect in 2026, 2027, do we need to make this decision tonight, or do we have plenty of time to take a second look at it? That's question number one. Question number two is if it doesn't have to be decided tonight, is there, I don't know if, Dr. Outlaw, you've looked into it, or anyone from administration, but is there any type of outside inquiry that we could make to help take a look at what other districts are doing with respect to how the qualified non-school activities are deemed to be eligible?
So I did look at those, and most of them were an application to the principal or the superintendent to approve.
Okay.
And if you're more comfortable, we could, well, one, I think there is some urgency because kids are picking classes for next year. And I think they need to know whether they have to take PE or not. I think it's important to do that. We've already had course selection at the high school. The 8th graders will be doing it soon. And I know my own kid was texting me, asking me like, hey, do I have to fit this in? What's going on? I think it's important that we do it relatively soon so that these kids that are making courses can make a decision. But second, if you're more comfortable, we did go down the path of actually trying to define this in policy, and Dr. Outlaw urged us to keep it broad and let the principal have discretion. But we could go down and say a number of hours. One of the original iterations said, completion of, 50 hours of physical activity attested by those that are sponsoring the activity. And so the lead principal then wouldn't be making the decision. They would have to the student would have to state why they think it applies. They would have to get certification from the coach or lead director of the organization that they put that many hours in, and then it's just approved. So we did go down that road to start with. We were urged to leave it broad to start with because we didn't know what might come.
Yeah, and I think that, and I'm not suggesting that the ultimate decision shouldn't be made by the lead principal. I have no problem with that. Somebody's got to be the decision maker, and I think the lead principal is the appropriate person. My point was, having something that the lead principal can look at and say, this is what, objectively we should be looking at for the non-school activity that would then, give, the lead principal as the decision maker, the comfort level that this meets the criteria that would satisfy the credit. That's all I'm saying. So
I think hours could do that. I mean, if you take, the average sport is, 2 hours of practice, 5 to 6 days a week for, 10 to 12 weeks, multiply that by 2 years, because you got to do it twice. You could get there pretty easily. Marching band is 4 hours. Twice a week, plus their camp for the fall season.
The band is specifically identified as.
I know, but if you
right.
wanted equivalent.
Correct.
Right,
Because
yeah,
I think part of the problem is that, to your point, we didn't have a firm policy before.
Right.
So we have kind of something that I'm not sure, no one seems to know the history, why we added marching band in, and our athletic director did a survey. Not everyone even includes marching band in their opt-out for PE in the state. So it isn't universally accepted to even have marching band as an opt-out. That's, to my knowledge, that's been done in Brighton for a long time. But we don't really have the history of how we came up with that as the one thing in addition to 2 years of varsity sports we're allowed to opt out of PE. So I do feel like we came from a shifting sand environment and came up with what we thought was in the best interest of allowing more kids to. I don't personally have an issue with trying to tighten it up, but I am a little worried about, one, making it too restrictive or too loose. And I think right now, it's kind of loose, and we have another option that's not clearly identified to students. And so we do have kids that come in, don't realize they can opt out, or don't recognize that. And I just want to make sure that every kid has opportunity to complete their schedule in what's in their best interest as a four-year high school student, so they can take the path that they want to take. So that's
I
my
could,
perspective.
just Roger, one of the conversations we had about the policy was the piece about the principal side of it, and Mr. Evans and I had a chance to talk about it, that it's a real challenge for him to be consistent and consistent principal to principal, so we appreciate that comment on that. If this were to happen, it would require creating administrative guidelines to create consistency, and some of our brainstorming, Mr. Thompson was part of the brainstorming, would be to look at the standards, the PE standards. It would be looking at things like time and effort and all these things, but there's still subjectivity that goes with all of this. And it is a challenge. It's not perfect, but administrative guidelines would have to be developed. They would have to be very specific, or Mr. Evans really is susceptible to being accused of being discriminatory if he says yes to one and not to another. So that is a challenge.
The other thing that I wanted to bring up too is, so if we adopt this or some similar policy, in terms of the protocol for advising and counseling students on signing up for class. So if you've got an incoming freshman, right, and the consideration is, do I take a PE credit class as a freshman, which, as I understand, is quite frequent. If, for example, that student might someday want to be in the musical theater and could be a performer, but they don't necessarily know that when they're in 8th grade coming in. I mean, how does that get, does that change the process where we're now, because, you know, that if a 9th grade student is coming in and they're taking PE without even the opportunity to avail themselves of these other activities, then, I mean, that ship has sailed. I mean, there's nothing to do at that point. So I'm just curious as to what was the thought as far as how that might change the counseling process, or how students are planning for 9th grade PE, or do I give them the option, like, really to defer it with the hope that they might either be in whatever, band or sport or, a club team, or how does that get addressed?
So for me, I mean, I might be different on this, but I see this as the exception to the rule, whether it's personal curriculum, test out, whether it's something like this. The standard is that you're going to take phys ed when you're in high school. And the reason why is because it's valuable. That's why the state has a requirement. That's why we encourage participation in athletics and physical activity and all these type of things in all these different ways. So these are the exceptions to the norm. So I would anticipate that our 8th graders, when they're scheduling, they would say, you're going to take phys ed. And if the kid's like, I can't fit in marching band and I want to take, some other class, then the counselor would say, you're the exception to the norm and these are your options. You can do a personal curriculum. If you plan to take rigorous courses down the road, you can, you can do a test out and they would give them their alternatives. But I think the standard, the thing that we would advise most students to do would be to take phys ed, to take health, take these classes that, the state, I think our district believe in. So these would be the exceptions from my perspective. So I wouldn't say that we're going to go and say most students should do this. I don't think that's, I wouldn't advise that, personally.
So I guess I think personally at a minimum, if this gets adopted, I really think we really should have some administrative guidelines that define parameters, whether it's a minimum number of hours, whether it's a type of activity, or even identifying with specificity if you're a musical theater performer. That's an activity that would constitute a sufficient activity to qualify for the exemption. We're not going to sit here and identify what all those are tonight, but I think it's important that we do that, if nothing else, than to give some consistency and some predictability for Mr. Evans or whoever ends up, ultimately being the one to make those decisions, and to frankly give the potential applicants the opportunity to see what the, what it is going to take to achieve that eligibility. So.
Can I ask a question about the specificity? In the past, in the policy that we had, or whatever we had written down, it was varsity sport, right? If you were in a club sport, did that qualify? If you participated 2 years in a club sport at the high school, did that allow you to opt out of PE or not? Or it had to be a varsity, like a varsity sport at the school?
I'm not sure. Can you say that again?
We've not given.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was surprised. I didn't know that.
That's what's written in there.
Well, I've never seen the actual
Yeah.
policy, but
So
I can tell
I
you
thought
I've
it
been
was
told multiple
2 years
times.
of a varsity sport and test out. Not in addition, so if you played for 2 years and did the test out, you did not get credit for PE?
In addition to the test out, we did give credit.
Correct. So you did the written test out, and then, but you don't do the physical test out, but you played varsity sport for 2 years. That was that's,
Correct. So it
yes,
waived
okay,
the
thank you.
physical part of the test out, but students still need to achieve a passing score of
Correct.
78%.
On the actual written test,
Correct.
right, yeah, thank you for clarifying, yes. So,
But you
not
could
for
test
club
out.
sport.
But you could test out without doing sports.
Yes.
Correct.
You just
So
had to
if
do.
you're not in marching band, or if you're not in the 2 years of the varsity sport, we had a separate set of physical activities that would meet the physical component. So I think a lot of the conversation is around the physical part of PE, but then there are the additional curriculum pieces that are in the state standards, and those are the parts that are getting picked up on the written test. And so that's where the flexibility on the physical part is one part, but then there's the other state standards PE curriculum piece that could be your benchmark, but just knowing what's in those standards, it's a much larger comprehensive set of standards than traditionally what one sport would allow you to meet.
Does marching band have to take the written test for PE?
Yeah.
So that all marching band students also take the written portion for PE, right? And then they do their marching band, okay, in order to get credit for PE, just like you would do for the varsity sports. So you have the physical component and then also the written component.
So to date, nobody has been exempt from having to pass the written portion of the test. It's the physical part that there are the multiple different options for how you can meet that. So it's like a two-part test out.
Correct. Okay.
And it grants the flexibility on the physical side, but not on the written side of the test.
The third option that students also have, right, wrong, or different, there's a third option that we were talking about, is you can get physical education credit by taking personal fitness through first. By law, we're required to offer online classes, and our online physical education classes, exactly.
But that doesn't free up the phys ed credit to do other things like engineering or choir or something. And we are we are allowing our multi kids to do gym, choir, or band. We should allow our high school kids to do additional things. And the state law is very clear that it's an opt-out. It is a blanket opt-out if they do a physical activity that the school approves. It doesn't need to meet this test out. That's red tape that we're requiring people to do. And while I think phys ed is important, my oldest child took phys ed, my younger one really does want to take multiple engineering courses and can't fit it in. It depends on the kid. And we shouldn't be saying the rules of pickleball are more important than learning the laws of physics and engineering. Like, the state gives us this flexibility. We need to take it and allow our kids the most flexible environment they can have.
I understand your interpretation of it, I just disagree.
So can I ask a question then? We are not asking them to take the opt-out with this. They are getting their full credit just through the exam. Okay, just through the.
Yes. I'm just going to share my perspective real fast, sorry, guys. I agree with the sentiments of Mrs. Urbane, Mrs. Marks, and also understand Mr. Myers, the guardrails comment, because I think that should be kind of tightened up slightly. But when I think about PE, my daughter's in marching band. I would never have let her opt out of PE just because I think she needs that physical activity, and I find it very valuable. Mr. Elsey, she was in your class and developed a love of racket sports, so thank you. But I think this policy is the exception, not the rule. I don't think we're going to see a lot of kids all of a sudden running to get a PE exemption. I still think kids enjoy PE. I think that they would still be taking it. So I look at it under the lens of if a child would like to take engineering or another course, they have that opportunity. And I'm all for student outcome, and so that's where I'm at right now.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays?
Nay.
That passes 4-1. All right, that moves us to item G, new course proposals. Dr. Outlaw.
We have 3 new course proposals that were introduced at our last meeting. The first one is an AP Business class. Second is an AP Seminar, AP American Lit class. And our third is an Earth Science class. They were developed by our high school teachers. Are there any questions that any of the board members would have for the administration? Anything further? They've been vetted by Dr. Mosier in the curriculum office as well.
I'm just excited about additional AP courses. And again, it's about giving kids options for things that make sense for them in their careers.
All right.
I have a question too. I know that we often ask this question, is when we start adding more courses, because we have the same number of students spread out over more courses. It will still depend on students taking these courses, as always. And I mean, if we don't have the enrollment in them, then the students don't take them. Because as we add more courses, we're not adding more students necessarily. So we still have the same number of courses.
Correct.
I'm always concerned about that we're spreading our.
Pie is the same.
It is. I think I think the AP Business class is a nice addition in in our business area to add some rigor into that department. I think the Earth Science class gives another alternative within science, so it's a required class, so they're going to go from one science to another. And then I think that the AP Lit is taking the place of honors 10th grade English, so it's not. I don't think it's going to impact quite as much as some of the others. I think when you're talking about pure elective classes, I think that is definitely a factor where we're dividing a very small pie even more. So I appreciate you bringing that forward.
Can you just reiterate, I believe we talked about this before with Dr. Mosier, about the AP Business, you're not going to be required to have a prerequisite in order to enroll in that course, correct? So a 10th
Correct.
grader could take that class without having other business classes ahead. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, do we have a motion for approval of the new course proposals as presented?
Make a motion?
All right, it's moved by Ms. Urbane, supported by Ms. Tierney. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 5-0. That moves us to item H, which is the call for the organizational meeting in January. And as everyone knows, as we did this past January and every January, we have to have a call for the organizational meeting at which we are required to approve all of the various items that will govern the school, the operations of the board, pick officers, and that will take place in the first meeting of January. So do we have a motion for the call for the annual organizational meeting?
Support.
Moved by Ms. Tierney, supported by Dr. Krebs. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 5-0. That closes the for action portion of our agenda, moves us to for future action. Item A, School of Choice 2026-2027. Dr. Outlaw.
Okay, it's almost that time of year again. We typically open School of Choice for the next school year on February 1st. So next month, we'd like to bring a proposal to you for you to vote for our next year. What we're looking at, we've made a couple tweaks over the last couple of years. What we did last year worked extremely well with our non-resident enrollment. And we would like to propose that we do the exact same thing that we did this year, which would be limited enrollment for first grade through fourth grade. With limited enrollment, it can only be open for a month. We do that right after spring break, basically for the month of April. For our junior kindergarten and kindergarten, we would do unlimited, but we narrow the window and we close on June 1st. That gives us time to place students and to make sure that we balance students across the district the best that we can. And then for our 5th grade through 12th grade, we would be unlimited, and we would suggest, I think it goes through August 8th. It's whatever the mirroring date is that we had this year. That's what we would propose to the board for next school year. Does the board have any concerns, suggestions, anything that you'd like us to consider differently? Okay, thank you.
Sure, thank you. Next item, B, accelerated grades 5 through 7 math. Dr. Elwell.
Okay. So next month, we'd like to bring a proposal for you to approve. This is in the same vein as our 7th and 8th grade honors English class. For the last couple of years, we've been talking about a natural sequence to Algebra 1 in 8th grade. What does that mean? That means a sequence where our students are not required to skip a class in order to get to Algebra 1 in 8th grade. Currently, we've made some adjustments at the middle school level that have helped us along that pathway, but this needs to start before middle school. So we have worked as a team on this, and what we are proposing is instead of students skipping, that we were going to move to an accelerated model where students in 5th and 6th grade that are in this part of the program would take 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, approximately 2 trimesters for each of those instead of 3 trimesters, and they would accelerate through that. And when they start 7th grade, they would be in 8th grade math, and when they go to 8th grade, they will have not skipped any grades, and they will be ready for Algebra 1. And Algebra 1 is the gateway to all of your upper level classes, your APs, everything like that. So this is what we're proposing. Wonder if the board has any questions, concerns, or comments.
Again, thank you. I'm thrilled for this. I think it's going to be great. I think it will also help chemistry students because I think it's really important for them to get through that algebra. It makes a big difference in 10th grade. And I feel like this is a fantastic move forward to make sure that our students are getting challenged at the level that they're at. So we'll still continue the double acceleration for the small group of kids that meet that criteria, but it's allowing a lot more challenge for students that are at grade level or need a little bit of a push above. And I can't wait to see what it brings to the high school. So thanks for working on this.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All right, Dr. Elwell. That moves us to item C, policy updates. Mr. Anastasov.
All right, good evening. So I did pass out not too long ago a packet to everybody. So there are 5 policies in total that we're bringing for future action, looking to bring in a month to next time to make official. For the most part, these are fairly simple changes. We're working on a few ones that are a little bit more complex to bring to the board next time, but they're in that packet for your review.
Okay, any questions, comments?
Would just say the rental policy change is actually it has to do with more financial transparency, but since that piece is open, there are some of us that might want to look at a couple other parameters on rentals on Sundays. So just note that when that comes back, we may have a few changes next time.
Okay. Any further discussion? Questions? Nope. Okay. That closes the for future action and moves us to board committee, chair reports, committee recognition. Any chair reports? No? We have not scheduled a finance committee meeting, which we need to do.
Academic next week, so.
Do you?
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of the Facilities Committee and in furtherance of our discussion regarding the bond, so we're having our meeting, obviously our organizational meeting will be our next meeting on January 12th. Is the intent, Dr. Olaf, for the administration to, we haven't talked about, you know, what's potentially going to be on the agenda at that point for the meeting of the 12th? Is the expectation that we're going to have a further discussion about some of the things that we still have not talked about with regard to the, you know, the parking lot items and any other loose ends so that we can continue that process forward?
Yes, today I met with or Mr. Jones and I met with the architect and construction team to talk about some of the things that were left on the table from the last meeting. Some of those are pretty easy fixes that we can just do updates, but there's still work to be done, particularly around performing arts. There's these pieces of the puzzle, and our architect in particular is doing research on locations and studying, so he needs to come back and he needs to report here to the board on some of those pieces. The construction management team, they've been working on some of the numbers around that, but the performing arts, I think, is probably the area that needs the most attention. But I would ask that the board, that if we could put this on for discussion, would be great at the January 12th meeting. We could put it on for future action, because February 9th would be the time when you would make the big decision.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, obviously, we'll have to decide at the January 12th meeting whether we have another meeting, another second January meeting. It's probably a good idea to kind of keep that, yeah, I mean, because we'll probably need that for fine tuning, you know, where we are and making, you know, the final decisions regarding scope, amount, timing. So I think we should probably plan on that in advance. Keep your schedules open for that fourth Monday of January, so we can, and obviously we can have, if there's further facility committee meetings, you know, then we'll be having theoretically new committees after the beginning of January. So maybe we can try to have some continuity as quickly as possible on some of those committees. But anyway, all right, that's all I have. Anything else from anybody? No? All right, well, this is our last meeting for 2025. It's been quite a year. Looking forward to 2026. Thank all of you for being here, for everyone that is watching the meeting. I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, safe holiday season, and we will see everyone in 2026. And this meeting is adjourned.